Daniel, Rex, hi.
Hey, just got done with whiskey level 2.
Yeah? How'd that go?
It's good. It's tired.
Yeah. It's one of those days, man. It's one of those days. I'm finding that gear. I'm shifting into the gear. Hold on, just give me a minute. Maybe whiskey will help.
Yeah.
It's very early.
Maybe.
There's so much to do.
This one's cask strength.
Beautiful.
This is a gift from Sarah Duncan and Megan Enright, Magnificent Bastards.
Sarah Duncan and Megan Enright, you magnificent bastards. Okay. Sacred Stave.
We've done a Sacred Stave before, I think.
I do
but
not
not
remember
this
it.
one.
You know I'm partial to me some American single malts there.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is Chandler, Arizona, which is it's one of the suburbs of Phoenix.
At
right?
least
Like,
it's not
you got,
Scottsdale.
Yeah, you got Gilbert and you got you've got Scottsdale, one of them.
God. I'm sure there's some lovely people in Scottsdale.
You know, my parents and
I
Sarah
just
lived
didn't
there
meet them.
For like 4 years. So, don't know much. This is, they were a brewery turned whiskey maker. So they call themselves the largest distillery in Arizona.
Okay.
But it could just be because the company is so big. They were a brewery. They use Arizona wine casks to age things.
Arizona wine. Does Arizona have a wine scene?
You know what? I didn't think so until I saw that. But you know, Flagstaff, for example, very different than like the desert of Arizona.
Yeah.
Like Flagstaff looks more like Colorado. Big, huge trees, and you can ski up there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I've never been. I have.
Yeah.
Wanted to go.
It's beautiful. It's very weird to leave Phoenix at 100 degrees, drive 2.5 hours, and ski.
Yeah. That's pretty nice.
Yeah.
That's pretty nice.
But all we know about this one is at least 2 years old, cask strength, Cabernet barrels.
Cabernet barrels. Arizona Cabernet.
Evidently.
I don't know what to expect from an Arizona Cabernet.
Me either.
But we're going.
And finished in Cabernet barrels, not its whole life.
I'm getting is it just me or is that a very bourbony nose?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
It is a very bourbony nose.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but when I get into an American single malt, I want to kind of poke at the edges of the category that I think is the most interesting right now.
I wonder if it's because there's like that slight cherry note.
Well, that's definitely part of it.
Dominating the barley, and it makes you think, oh, cherry, new oak. And it could be new oak American barrels too.
Yeah, which would make it even more bourbony for sure.
It is very candied, like hard candied.
And then there's that tea note that we always find in a lot of bourbons. That black tea, almost a little bit bitter of a note. I think it is probably new barrels with that.
Yeah. I'm trying to get past that.
And the color
really
too.
Candy.
It's a thick bottle. Maybe the colors. No, it's a dark color.
Yeah, and it's very. If you look at it from the top, you can see that sort of color, that red wine-ish type coloring.
I like the nose.
I do too.
I was just expecting more of a American single malt path. And this is kind of fudging the difference between single malt and bourbon.
You know what I'm not getting that I'm actually kind of is nice? I'm not getting the overly musty, malty grain note.
Overly musty, malty grain note.
That's why I get on a lot of young barley and American whiskey, American malts.
Sure.
This like heavy barnyardy malt.
Yeah, no, that doesn't show up at all.
All right, I'm gonna try it.
Oh, I like that.
Me too.
Got like some type of, there's a char,
that's hefty.
Like a char character.
Yeah, it's like this charred black pepper kind of threaded through, but it's really sweet.
Yeah, if you took
Really desserty.
took those really sweet cherries, and then you blackened the edge with like a torch.
I'm gonna put a little water in mine.
I'm gonna go back in a cask because this is throwing a lot at you.
Yeah, it is. That's why.
And then it finishes a little barrel bitter. It's gotta be new oak barrels, man.
I just did 2 days of a lot of palate training and things like that, and so starting the morning at Cask is a bit of a punch in the throat. Oh, okay. Adding a little water made it more malty.
That char almost turns into a campfire smokiness. That shows up even more in the second approach. I didn't put in water yet.
Yeah, it's malt. Now it smells like malt. Okay. And it smells like a wine cask malt.
Bloop.
There it is. It's very wine-dominated malt.
I get back to the nose, and now I'm getting some antique store furniture wood.
Now it's a simplified sugars with a little bit of a pepper zest.
Man, it really is, like the sweetness is there, but the woodiness, the oakiness, the cherry, the charred edges.
Yeah.
It doesn't ever get smoky, but it's kind of like charry.
Yeah.
Not ashy, because ashy is going to be a little bit more powdery and dry.
Yeah, but oaky.
Yeah. This, I think, is respectable. I think it's respectable.
It's a little too sweet for my taste, but it's a solid whiskey.
And if somebody is a fan of bourbon, and they want to start poking outside the category, not diving full on into an American single malt, this could be an interesting little romp.
Yeah.
Yeah. Santan
All right
spirits.
then, Arizona.
Yeah. They did not embarrass themselves. Probably not from Scottsdale.
Well, they're not.
It was a day. It was a day.
They're from Chandler.
It was a day.
What
and
happened to you in Scottsdale?
I was
that
working
so ruined
there,
you?
and basically, I think the universe just conspired to put every douchebag in Scottsdale in front of me for the entire day.
Okay.
So you
Very dramatic.
You go to some cities and you're driving around and you get a sense of like the vibe. And some of them were like really almost like a dive bar kind of vibe. Right. It's not a lot of money, but it's got personality and it's got a lot of history and there's stuff there. Scottsdale felt like there was a lot of money but no imagination. Yeah,
there's a lot of shopping malls that are like that in Scottsdale.
Okay. Yeah.
Like shopping areas where you're like, oh, this was like if Disneyland designed an Arizona shopping center. It looks pristine and perfect and everything's trim and there's misters glowing and
Maybe I didn't go to the right parts. I was there for a day.
Yeah.
And maybe I didn't meet the right people, but I just left that place going, not for me, man. Not for me. Jackin Harder. The grain note in New Make Daniel talked about, is it similar to maybe green notes?
No.
I've had a couple of New Makes, and they reminded me of green beans for some reason.
So New Make can have green vegetal notes if they cut so low where they get those lower vegetation notes. Those are in the tails. And so if you get this bitter fresh cut grass or bitter asparagus or green bean, that's a low tails cut. But a good heart cut grain note in a whiskey tastes grainy, like granola grainy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if you can get your hand on barley seeds.
Yeah, some of the more less
malted barley.
Like a lot of the more natural granola types of cereals too. You put your nose in a cereal box.
Yeah, like what's that one? Like grape nuts, but without the grape pieces.
Yeah, there's honey nut oats.
Yeah, that would work. Oh, by the way, don't buy barley from the store and then try to eat it. It'll break a tooth. Like malted barley cracks that harder shell and you can actually kind of chew on it.
The more I go back to this, the less sweetness holds and the more of that char quality shows up. Yeah, and we did add a little water, but yeah. Diesel Weasel.
I like it.
Have you ever had a whiskey with faults that someone tried to convince you was good, a desirable flavor? Depends on how you categorize, or how you define fault. Because some people's fault is another person's favorite flavor.
Yeah, I've never had a time when a whiskey was actually objectively just bad because they didn't make cuts and they got a whole bunch of wet cardboard, wet dog crap in it.
Yeah.
And no one has ever tried to argue that tastes good. I've never, like that Japanese whiskey we tried that tasted like an outdoor restroom.
Yes, there's a lot of that.
Right? But there are some craft guys who cut low and get that green granola and on purpose. And I hate it. But there are somms in our somm group who love it.
Yeah.
And look for it.
Some people also really like banana notes.
Yeah.
And a lot of distillers consider the banana note to be fault.
Yeah, to its extreme. I mean, you can find it really strong in Jack Daniels. It's a fermentation note.
Also a bubblegum note.
Yep.
It's more rare than the banana note.
Buttered popcorn.
Some people love those notes, and other people are like, no, it's a fault.
Whiskey faults are a lot like the flower kingdom, where it's like, what's the definition of a weed? A flower in the wrong place, right? Or a plant in the wrong place.
Yeah.
It's exactly like that. So some people, it's like, look, a wildflower field, it's beautiful. And others are like, look at all these weeds, right?
Yeah, even something like it's like there's more of a sulfur note.
Yeah.
And even that, if it's balanced against a whole bunch of other flavors,
People
it's
are
like,
like,
it's an interesting juxtaposition of like, we got this dark fruitiness and this little sulfur thread going through. It was like, well,
It's like Campbelltown.
it's like farty egg. You like farty egg in your whiskey, but it works weirdly in some whiskeys. But for other whiskeys, like it's clearly a fault. This is egg farts. Okay, not
pretty good.
bad, not bad at all. Here's the fighting, stealing, and drinking.
If you fight me, I fight for a friend.
Steal, may you steal your lover's heart.
And if you drink,
May you drink with us.